How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, you really need to go get your shit. Oh, yes, you do. You need to get your weed, your wine, whatever you drink. I got my grape juice on deck. Plenty, lemon and lime, and ice. Juicy. Let me take a drink. I'm giving y'all some time, some stall time to go get your shit. And I'm going to dedicate this video to Lisa Cabrera. So, if anybody that is new to the true royal family or true royal, let me see. I have done more videos than any YouTuber when it comes to this ex-sheriff. He's all washed up, my royal family. So I will pin at the top of this particular video those 28 videos. And it is pure joy. I mean, joy. It really hurt me, my royal family, but I knew it was coming because I know, what happens to these coons out here, and so their shelf life ain't long, the enemy use them for whatever they use them for, and then they drag their ass. So, Lisa had asked me a few times what's going on with the sheriff, and I said he ain't really doing much out there. Well, Lisa had dug up something on him, and I will be playing that what he is out there doing. But man, the journey I'm gonna take y'all on is juicy and epic. So fire that shit up, and again, lean all up in it. So what I decided to do when I did my deep research, and some of this stuff people already know about, and some of this stuff people don't. Even it was some stuff that I didn't even know about. I was like, wow, okay. Because, I threw my hands up. He ain't out there on the world stage on them big black platforms like that, Because, like I said, they shelf life. Oops, wait a minute. That's juicy. Don't last long. So before I get into these juicy videos, I have some articles to read, and I'm only going to read the juicy parts. So I have out of 3 articles. Shoot, I had 8, and I had to reduce it down. And that's part of being a blogger, where y'all don't have to be boggled down with certain things, and we go over these articles and everything, and sometimes we read them all, and sometimes we get the juicy parts. So let's see what's going on. Now, this particular article, I'm not going to say where it came from, but I will give you the date. It was the first of the year on the 13th of the first of this year. Okay. So they have here, and a lot of us do know about this, former Sheriff David Clarke urged mega rally attendees on January 6th to not cooperate with authorities. Also, now you telling people to break the law? Really? With your coon ass? Wow, really? And I'll get into why he's telling folks to break the law. Oh, how the mighty sheriff have fallen. Oh my goodness, I'm telling you, when the enemy use your ass, they use your ass. So they saying in this article here that Fox News wouldn't have him. He never landed a job with Trump, and he just spent the weekend typing extremist remarks on Parler. Specifically, Clarke suggested force should be used against social media outlets who are blocking prominent conservatives, and told those who attend the pro-Trump rally before the Capitol insurrection that they should not cooperate with federal authorities. And I do remember that. He told them, don't open your door, don't do this, don't do that, and stuff. And eventually, you're going to have to come up out of that, come up out of your house and stuff, and he ain't going to be there for you. But, now all of a sudden, he then became an attorney, I guess. So, they said the former lawman giving out advice like a criminal defense attorney, they pissed with him. And what are we to make of the advice that Clarke has been handing out on Parler, which was shut down by Amazon Web Services over the weekend? Juicy. Well, Clarke is out there on his own. Check it out. Well, Clarke is out there on his own when urging force against social networks and banning conservatives. In the post, the 64-year-old ex-sheriff rant about YouTube after it removed a recent podcast by Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, a former White House advisor, Steve Bannon channel. So, he was in their inner circle. He thought he was in. Oh, yeah, he thought he was really in. Oh, this shit is juicy. The very people he lying in bed with banned him, fired him. It's going to be juicy all the way through. So they were saying pretty much they wanted to crack down on the misinformation bull. Clarke wrote on Parler, misinformation, that's all y'all been doing the whole time. That's why Trump used your ass, because Trump is the king of misinformation. Oh yeah, he the king of that. Big time. So let me see. So this is the cute part, because they reached out to him. Clarke did not respond to requests for comments. A Milwaukee source copied his Parler post and provided them to, I'm not going to say what outlet it is. Okay. So they were saying a clear turn on his part, and Clarke words of wisdom to those who attend Trump's rally in D.C. before. Okay, we already got that. Told him don't answer the door, don't do this, and don't do that. Okay. Let me make sure I got all the juiciness from this particular article. So as we continue on, this is the one that I couldn't wait to read here. Juiciness. Now, they are saying that Clarke could possibly be part of Steve Bannon scam. Okay, because you remember the situation with the wall, and he's all out there now and trying to avoid. I don't know if they were able to catch up with him and subpoena him, but they're saying that Clarke could possibly be hooked up into what was going down and stuff. And he don't mind breaking the law, but he wants to come off like all law and order. But that is for us, reserved for us. So pretty much they said here that yet 1 month later, Clarke was still serving as a key speaker and law and order symbol for the group. Did he ever have suspicion about the group and what was being done with its money, and what was he paid for flying around the country and making so many speeches on the behalf of the group? Clarke had a reputation as someone whose services did not come cheap. During his last 2 years as sheriff, he earned expenses exceeding over $300,000. Oh, yes. And then numerous gifts as well. By March 2019, Clarke had been banned from Fox News and fired by the pro-Trump Super PAC America First. Now, I did not know, I missed that. I did not know that he got fired twice. I didn't know about the Super PAC America. Oh, that was juicy when I found that today. And his star has fallen. We Build the Wall was probably the only paid gig he had going. And so Clarke stuck with it. The ex-sheriff hasn't offered any comment to the media about the federal investigation. Now that's of Bannon, of We Build the Wall, and did not respond to the urban Milwaukee repeated requests for comments. Yeah, because he don't got no backup. See, when he was out there being real greasy around his lips and stuff like that, the enemy would back him up. And then quickly, when they done with you, swiftly, the message goes out. They on cold, and they ain't fucking with him. Oh yeah, they ain't fucking with him whatsoever. Now, this last article, and we're going to get into these videos. Now, this last article, I'm reading all of it. This comes from one of our outlets, and y'all can just guess what it is. Think of numbers. Anyhow, let me see what they got here on the title. Oh, this is the part I love, the title. Sunken Place. David Clarke reportedly fired from jobs that supported Trump. The once prominent black Trump loyalist has apparently fallen out of favor with the president. Like clockwork. It's a bad omen around Trump. One of the president's Donald Trump's most loyal black supporters, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David A. Clarke, was reportedly fired from at least 2 positions they should have said within the organization that supported the president. That news led to speculations that he may have fallen out of Trump's good graces. Yes, he has. Fox News effectively banned Clarke last year for the conservative news network. The Daily Beast reported on Tuesday. It was unclear exactly why Fox made that decision, but a source told the Daily Beast that Clarke's rhetoric became crazier and crazier, and most shows refused to use him. Yeah, because he felt invincible. He felt like he couldn't be touched. At the same time, the news outlet learned that Clarke lost his position as senior advisor and spokesman for the pro-Trump Super Political Action Committee, PAC, America First Action. His job at America First involved serving as a public face for the Super PAC. Once Fox fired Clarke, it became difficult for him to do his job for reaching conservative audience to promote Trump's agenda. He was deemed useless. Woo, that's juicy. Wait a minute. I got to do that one more time. That drink is on point. After stepping down as sheriff, Clarke sought a position with the Trump administration. However, former Department of Homeland Security John Kelly blocked him from getting a job at the federal law enforcement agency. Later, when Kelly became White House chief of staff, he prevented Clarke from obtaining a White House position. I remember that. Part of Clarke's problem was that he had tons of unwanted baggage. He oversaw a shoddy Milwaukee jail system in which 4 people, including a baby, died. Instead of working directly for Trump, Clarke landed the position in September 2017 with America First, which shares his values, he said in a statement. It gives me the chance to do what I love most, promote President Trump's agenda, including his fierce support for America law enforcement officers and ensure the will of America. People who got Trump president elected is not derailed by the left or the self-serving Washington establishment, he added. Part of the reason behind Clarke's banishment from Fox stems from his on-camera rant against Parkland school shooting. Did that other dude that they got off of there? I can't think of his name. That white guy. I think he was doing that stuff too about Parkland with his conspiracies and all that kind of mess. Let me see here. Okay, then they said here, in one instance, Clarke accused George Soros, the liberal billionaire, of funding the student gun control campaign at the same time Fox was trying to manage fallout after its primetime star. Okay, all that don't matter. That's them other folks that they was having issues with. So, my royal family, we got all that juiciness out the way, and now we can get into these juicy videos. Let me do what I gotta do. Video number one. Juiciness.
Clarke, no longer sheriff, but we're still learning about costs associated with his time in office.
We found out just not too long ago that the county provides round-the-clock security for Sheriff Clarke's house while he was in office. And they gave us a partial number a couple months ago on how much that cost, and I got the final numbers today, and it shows that for a little over a year, maybe close to a year and a half, it costs taxpayers $450,000 to provide security at his house. The new acting sheriff, Richard Smith, ended that practice in a cost-cutting move. But the figures, I guess, they're higher than what we'd expected. People had been guessing $300,000 to $400,000, but $450,000 is how much it came to. He started it around June or July of 2016, and it continued up until August of this year. But they also, for a short period in 2015, it turns out, provided security at his house. So basically, someone just sat there the whole time to make sure nothing happened. I went out there a couple weeks ago, sat there for a few hours, and deputies swung by his house then. So even though they might not be doing around-the-clock security detail, they are stopping by to make sure things are that nothing is going on there.
And this is still the former sheriff, not the current sheriff.
At Sheriff Clarke's house, yeah,
right.
they're continuing to do that.
So he's no longer in town anymore.
Yeah, he's got an apartment in the D.C. area. He's spending most of his time there. He says he's traveling more today than he ever has before. In addition to working for America First Super PAC, he's also working for 2 think tanks, and he set up a new business called DAC Enterprises. And so he's out there most of the time. I'm assuming his wife is still here at the house, so that's what I'm assuming they're checking.
And I know, and he gave an interview on radio, or he was on a radio talk show, and he said, "I've moved on." Well, maybe he's moved on, but the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department hasn't. The acting sheriff has been frantically trying to cut a $5 million budget deficit. There's still problems at the jail. Basically, he's left a hot mess behind.
You're writing something about the jail? So
I'll be writing about the jail monitor later this week, and his role over the last decade and a half.
And what was the reason he gave for the needing security?
He said that actually he gave no explanation as to why he was doing it. But the reason that they gave was that he had received some threats, and they gave us a few of the threats. And they were serious, some of them racial. But we only know of one incident in which someone went to his house and ended up being arrested, and that was a reporter for a Chicago TV station who was trying to get comment from him. And that guy eventually was charged and paid a fine. But I'm not aware of any other instance in which people went out there and did something at his house. It does coincide with his decision to start traveling a whole lot more on behalf of Trump in 2016, and his travels on the conservative lecture circuit as well. So Yeah, that's what it matches with.
Interesting, because he was traveling all over the country at that time as a Trump surrogate.
He
speaking.
basically wasn't here in October and in September, but he started around May is when he started hitting the road, going around. But toward the end of the campaign, he was traveling with the same super PAC he's working with now, and they flew him. He had events, as many as 8 or 9 events in a day.
And $450,000 is obviously a lot of money. Is that final tally now? There won't be any more, presumably?
It is. It's the cost of paying for 3 deputies sitting out there for 8 hours a day.
Now, let me fill y'all in. Let me take this down. Let me fill y'all in, because I know exactly what went down. See, when you do numerous stories about these damn coons, you be knowing some shit about them. Now, what really happened, my royal family, yes, he was getting threats. And he was getting around-the-clock security. Now, they said that he had stepped down as the sheriff. No, he was fired also. And he cowardly left in the middle of the night. And he left his white wife there. They divorced now. And so when the acting chief came in and, had to deal with this budget and stuff, they, cut it out. And then some of the cops were loyal to go check because his wife, his ex-wife now, was up in that house by herself. So they was looking out for, at the end of the day, that's still Esau's woman. And I had predicted that he was going to divorce her, because me doing a lot of research and doing all these videos on him, I picked up on that he was a very whiny, weak type of man and stuff. But he was known for putting his hands on her too, because when I first got on YouTube and started reporting videos about him, a brother came to me and said he used to work under him. And he said he was the reason he didn't want to be a cop no more. And he proceeded to tell me about how Clarke used to put his hands on his wife. And that shocked me, because I didn't know, usually, in those type of relationships, they don't touch, that white woman at all. So I like that particular video because of all the juiciness that I read. And you could, just listening to that one right there, you could see his incline. It was coming. And I mean, it was moving. So as we continue on, my royal family, this rally that he attended, I call them KKK rallies. I just want y'all to listen to the rhetoric or the juiciness. Nah, it ain't so juicy. He makes your stomach turn. But the juicy part is they dragging this coon. He's all washed up. Juicy.
They're just average Joes. They don't have an activist organization willing to go out and protest or march on their behalf. They don't have the money to hire lobbyists to advance their cause. All they have is the elected representatives, and sadly, I'm here to tell you, many of them have turned their backs on these people over the years, but not Sheriff Clarke. I would call him at any time, and he would respond with sheriff's officers, sheriff's deputies, to help out as best he possibly can and take care of those little people, the people who just want to live in a safe, clean, quiet neighborhood with a minimal amount of problems for a reasonable amount of tax dollars. And government ought to be able to deliver that to these poor folks. And yet it's falling down on the job year after year after year. But I just wanted to share that with you. Every time I would call Sheriff Clarke, he would help augment MPD's efforts in addressing whatever problems these folks had. And I'm appreciative of that, and I just wanted to say thank you publicly, Sheriff Clarke. So with that, Let's give a big Southside welcome to Sheriff David Clarke.
No, thank you. You know, something that Alderman Donovan touched on was very important to me when I served the people of Milwaukee County. I always reminded myself, and sometimes I had to remind many of you, that I work for you. You're the sovereign. And a representative democracy, the elected officials are not sovereign. I know that it's been flipped around a little bit today, where the elected officials, too many of them anyway, they think they're the sovereign and we should bow down to them. All right, and I always pointed that out. I love you folks. I love all of you. I really do. I also want to give a shout out to the men and women in blue. Several squads showed up here tonight, and we need to remind them, we need to remind each other that in America, blue lives matter. Now, what this has always been about for me is freedom and liberty. And people have to defend freedom and liberty or it'll be taken away. And I think we saw that a little over a year ago when this virus hit the shores of the United States and people seized, and yes, the virus is real. And yes, it could be fatal to people with compromised immune systems or the elderly, certain segments of the population. We did something in this country we have never done before. We have never quarantined healthy people. We have never locked down an entire country over a flu virus. So they took something that was real, the COVID, and failed to some, but keep in mind, this thing all the way through had a survival rate of 99.9% of the people, for people who got it, right? They survived it. And look what we did. Look what we allowed government to do. To crash the economy, to quarantine us in our homes, to lock us down with no due process and no probable cause. Stay in your house, we were told. Don't go anywhere, especially over the holidays. Don't travel. That was house arrest. And we allowed them to do that. And think of what we've been through from the days that this started. Remember, it was about flattening the curve. And they said, for about 2 weeks we need to do this. And if we all pull together, we'll get through this and we'll get things going again. And 2 weeks went by, and guess what? It wasn't over. And I don't mean that the COVID wasn't over. The seizing upon our freedom and liberty wasn't over. And then we got into things like wearing masks, which, remember, Fauci the fraud, Tony Fauci the fraud, on 60 Minutes, by the way, he doesn't treat patients. He's an over-credentialed bureaucrat is what he is. Yeah, he goes by the title of doctor. He doesn't treat patients. Yet he was giving information out to doctors and elected officials to make policy. He doesn't treat patients. He's the wrong person to get that information from. However, in the early days of this, Fauci the fraud went on TV on 60 Minutes and said, there's no need for any healthy person to be wearing a mask. There's no need for everybody to run out
Check 1 2 1 2.
and wear a mask.
Check.
And then a couple months later, we saw Fauci sitting in a baseball park with no mask on and no social distancing, yet he was kept giving these elected officials, the policymakers, well, you got to do this. You got to socially distance. You got to wear the mask. Ladies and gentlemen, we know now. We know a lot more than we did in the early days of this. And what I learned, this was never about science. This was never about medicine. This was about politics. Raw, unadulterated politics. Now here's the thing that kind of saddened me as I watched these freedoms and liberties taken away from us. And government has a tendency to do that in a time of crisis. They scare everybody to death And we're willing to just give our freedoms and liberties away. Why? Well, out of an abundance of caution, we were hearing. Well, it's for the greater good, we were hearing. I'll tell you what, I've never seen those two phrases in the Constitution of the United States. Out of an abundance of caution, these can be suspended. I've never seen it. Now, one of the things that saddened me, as I was saying, is that we so willingly gave into that out of fear, no doubt about it. But we gave up our freedom and liberty because we were scared. And who was it that said, those who would give up a little freedom for a little liberty deserve neither freedom nor liberty? There is no exception in the Constitution because of a novel virus. There just isn't. So we needed a balance. We didn't get a balance. We got steamrolled. And every time they told us to do something, we just went along with it. We acquiesced. Very little pushback. Some people did push back. We closed down businesses. Some of those businesses are not able to return and will never return. People lost their jobs. Schools closed. Mental health issues started to emerge, especially in our young people. Screenings, medical screenings were put off because hospitals were telling, on the advice of Fauci, an unelected, over-credentialed bureaucrat, well, you can delay the screening. You don't need to do that. Now we need to keep the hospital rooms open. The hospital rooms were empty. So now you see the when I say steamroll, you see the domino effect of some of those policies. And that's what I think about today.
All right, my royal family. Now, this was a part of that mass burning ritual. And what was so deep to me was when they were paying him to drag the royal family. He was very dangerous and harmful to the black community. Well, now he didn't fell out of favor with the government. I have never ever heard him speak so genuine. Some of them things that he's saying, I agree with, and some of it, I don't. Now, he has become dangerous to the enemy because he's feeling some kind of way. It's a different type of energy, and it's foolish to not wear a mask. Now, I'm one of many that ain't taking the jab, but I know to take my supplements and wear a mask. So that's foolish. So I'm not saying that this man is, then turned around and all that. He's still true to his nature. But now he has became dangerous. He got a mark on him. I'm going to watch him closer because I had, just threw my hands up and stuff because, he ain't following around with, Trump and his cronies. Well, as we continue on, my royal family, we'll hear a little bit more about this mass burning situation.
He was one of the featured speakers here today, and he was also one of the dozens of people who threw their face masks in this barrel that was full of fire. It was quite the party at McKiernan's Irish Pub on Tuesday on Milwaukee's South Side. The theme? Mask burning.
If you burn your mask, you get a freedom beer on Bob, okay?
Hosted by former Milwaukee Alderman Bob Donovan and the Wisconsin Conservative Digest, the featured speaker was former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke, who said quarantining and masks was the government's way of scaring U.S. citizens out of their civil freedoms.
We know a lot more than we did in the early days of this. And what I learned, this was never about science. This was never about medicine. This was about politics. Raw, unadulterated politics. No, this is a face diaper. That's what it is, and that's what I referred to it as, a face diaper.
Although Milwaukee's health order expired June 1st, the health department still says unvaccinated people must continue wearing masks.
The science is very clear that masks are effective. They protect people who are unvaccinated. They absolutely stop the spread of the virus.
Donovan says he's been vaccinated, but feels the government has stepped in too far.
I like to count on adults and treat them like adults and not treat them like little children.
And the mask burning, that's a pretty strong message you're sending. What do you want people to read out of that?
Well, they can read whatever they want to read. I'm just glad to get rid of the damn thing.
Well, Caroline, we heard from officials, but what about the people who attended the event? What did they say about the mask burning?
We talked to a few people, Joyce. They were telling me that they were excited to get rid of their masks. They felt it was time to get rid of the masks. And at least one person told me that they have not been vaccinated and they will wear a mask if they're required to, but otherwise they're not going to wear one in public.
All right, my royal family. That's very dangerous, but you know what? It's what I do agree with. It's all about choices, and this country is becoming a dictatorship. I can clearly see it, a dictatorship, because we got, some of our own really feel like if they don't take that unquote jab, they won't have a job. And so I say, well, so do you want to be dead opposed to not having a job? You can't force something on someone's body. And so again, now the people that he's speaking to, they look like some little, it was some little, looked like they was in a poor white trash community having a wang dang doodle in the backyard. He not on the same type of platform that he was on before. Oh yeah, he used to be on some big platforms because he was quite loyal. But now he feeling raw inside, Oh yeah, he feeling real raw. Well, that's how shit goes down, Clarke. So, as we continue on with this last one, this is an audio, and this is the last article that was in relations to David Clarke, and this is what Lisa Cabrera has sent me. So this audio is a little over 5 minutes.
America's Sheriff speaks at First Responders event. On Thursday, Gator Media hosted its first Boots, Badges, and Barbecue event in honor of first responders at Borough Warehouse in downtown West Point. The event was originally planned to take place at Clarke Farm in Lynette, but the venue was changed due to the weather. Guests got to take pictures with America's Sheriff, David Clarke, at the start of the event. Gator Media's Gator Kincaid presented 3 plaques for Chambers County Sheriff Sid Lockhart, West Point Fire Chief Mitt Smith, and Valley Police Chief Tommy Weldon. During dinner, which was catered by American Smokehouse of West Point, Clarke gave a speech primarily on first responders with a focus on law enforcement. Clarke, the former sheriff of Milwaukee County, began his speech with a focus on the importance of tolerating other people's points of view. He resigned as the Milwaukee County Sheriff in 2017. I think that in a democracy such as ours, different points of view, disagreement is healthy, he said. I really believe that we should all have our point of view. And sometimes, collectively, they'll form, and you'll have groups of people that have a point of view. There's nothing wrong with that. And it doesn't mean that people who have a different point of view other than mine are wrong. He explained the difference between a point of view and a mere opinion. When I state a point of view, I can back it up, he said. I can back it up with research. I can back it up with knowledge. And I can back it up with my experiences. It's not just an opinion. Clarke said he wasn't willing to debate people who don't back up their assertions with facts. I don't know why so many people in this country, mainly on the left, don't want somebody else that has a different point of view. I really cannot understand that. That's not the way I was raised. My mom and dad taught me from a very early age, don't just follow the crowd. Come to your own opinion about things. And if you truly believe in it, then stand on it. Clarke said he aimed to visit all 50 states and that Alabama was his 39th. He said that while he enjoyed cities like Chicago and New York City, he likes meeting down-home real Americans in less populous areas. Americans are wonderful people, he said. Does that mean all of them? No, but who cares? The overwhelming majority of people are good people, and they aren't some of the names that they get called. You're not racist. You're not homophobes. You're not Islamophobes. You're not xenophobes. How can I say that? because I've met so many Americans, and I know what's in your hearts. Clarke said he doesn't believe there's a need for police reform in America. Our law enforcement officers are better trained, they're better educated than at any time in this profession, he said. We can still get better. We're in search of excellence, not perfection. We've got to tweak something a little here and there. I'm all for it. I am not for reforming this entire profession, no more so than when a doctor makes a medical error that leads to a patient's death. Nobody calls for reforming the entire medical community. We just don't do it because it's not a smart thing to do. He stated that cops are under siege, under-resourced, underpaid, and underappreciated. He said that cops aren't trained to handle urban pathologies such as ineffective parenting, school failure, fatherless homes, and questionable lifestyle choices. Here's what we do well: keep the peace, enforce the law, and make arrests for people who break the law, he said. We do that well. Sitting down and counseling a child? No, that's not what we teach people to do. While he acknowledged that cops sometimes make bad choices, Clarke argued that people often provoke police to be aggressive by not complying with their instructions. Comply with a law enforcement officer's lawful command. You are going to survive that interaction, he said. It's that simple. Clarke argued that what a reasonable citizen might decide in a situation can differ from what a reasonable police officer would decide. He emphasized the importance of the rule of law. Toward the end of his speech, Clarke brought up the issue of cop suicide. It is happening at alarming rates, record numbers, he said. In 2019, 228 police officers committed suicide. Where's the cries to call for the public health officials about more money for research on cop suicide? Why do they kill themselves? What's going on here? There's an uptick. We need to do something about this. Kincaid gave credit to sponsor businesses for making the event a reality. There was no money outside the community, he said. There was no state money. There was no federal money. The reason this event happened is because, in my opinion, we have got the best small business group anywhere. Kincaid said it was a little bittersweet that three of his heroes, Lockhart, Smith, and Tommy Weldon, were soon going to be retired. He said they were a part of the reason he decided to hold the event. Smith wasn't in attendance, but some of his colleagues were. Kincaid said on Friday that he didn't yet know the total amount of money raised, but said it will be split 50-50 between the Alabama Sheriff's Girls Ranch and the Valley Rams Booster Club. He said he expected the event to generate $5,000 to $7,000 after expenses. Sponsors for the event were the Chambers County Republican Party, RE/MAX agent Jane Fuller, Alabama State Senator of District 13 Randy Price, Alabama House Representative of District 38 Debbie Wood, Alabama House Representative of District 37 Bob Fincher, the Greater Valley Area Chamber of Commerce, Brian J. Aplin, Attorney at Law, Fuller Center Reuse Store, U.S. Senate candidate Linda Blanchard, Learning and Growing Child Center, Beverly Howard, Attorney at Law, Foster's Tree Service Incorporated, semicolon the Charter Foundation,
Enough of
Carolyn
that.
Lott,
Enough of that.
CPA.
Enough of that. So, again, my royal family, even though he's still spewing his rhetoric, there's something different that I'm feeling. You know, I know y'all picking up on some different type of energy, and they watching him because he knows a lot of their secrets. But I took joy, Clarke. You know, I had to do what I had to do. Why the hell did you don't even start trying to look crying and all that kind of stuff like that. You say that for your ex-wife. All you had to do was just do your damn job, and I could have been making all these damn videos. So, we'll just blame it on Lisa Cabrera. She inspired me, and I'm obedient. So I had to do what I had to do. You all washed up, Now you at these little funny looking shingdings at these different KK rallies, everything looked different. You don't have a staff no more. You ain't making the kind of money that you make anymore. And you see how the enemy will invest in our demise. They willing to invest in upholding white supremacy. But white supremacy is dying literally before our eyes. Literally, we are watching events happen on biblical proportions. And we're going to be seeing more and more of these coons that And he ain't trying to get in favor with us at all. But we're going to be seeing more and more of these coons to try to get back in favor with the royal family. No, once you have mentally, in my mind, made that decision, you are dead. You are dead. And there are numerous examples of the enemy and the enemy, the enemy supporters that they get the pimp hand. They get drug. You know, Stacey Dash out there. You know, now she supposed to be a dope fiend back in the day and had all these other issues and stuff like that. You know, it's a bunch of us that got issues, and we don't take it out on the royal family. We protect our own. So, washed up, dried up, ex-Sheriff David Clarke, your karma continues. Oh yeah, you're not part of Trump's inner circle, not whatsoever. And you feeling some kind of way. And then you're giving out bad advice, telling folks not to wear the mask. No, that's very foolish, because Rona is real, you know. And I'm going to keep it coded. Y'all don't have to worry about it, my royal family. So he's a mixed bag at the end of the day. But wasn't that juicy, my royal family? I mean, getting fired left and right, getting banned from Fox News and stuff. So if he banned from Fox News, he banned from the enemy straight up. And them little small groups that he do them speaking engagements to and stuff, they ain't fooling me. They using that. They using him too. So he it's like a washed up boxer. And I've seen some that have great careers, and then they'll go into that fake wrestling stuff, and it's just so sad looking, and they just get reduced down, you know, just reduced down. That's how he looks to me, you know. And when he was in his element, he was spewing so much stuff, he started even fucking with the enemy, talking crazy to them, calling them snowflake and all kind of stuff. You know, and he was very abusive, because that county that he was the sheriff at, he wore their ass out. But you know, I don't feel sorry for them. They was willing, like I said, to invest and pay him to spew whatever he wanted to spew towards the royal family, and then when he tore his ass with them, you know, they having to do these audits and all this stuff, and then people coming up dead in jail and all that. You have a bad omen on you. A baby came up dead. You know, they didn't care. They didn't care. They took joy in him dragging the royal family. Now they looking at him some kind of way, because they like, what this Negro about to say? You know, they looking at him real close. So yes, he's dangerous on both levels. So he is not to ever be trusted whatsoever. So anyway, my royal family, what I need you to do is to render your voice with your beautiful divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe. Juicy, juicy, juicy. Oh, so sweet to me. Oh, that was juicy. Let me get up off of here.